Our stories are brilliant. We are resilient. Our stories are brilliant. We are resilient.
Hey there, writer friend. Welcome back to Your Voice Matters with Jen Chambers. This is week 11 of our Write Your Story series, and today we're diving into the beautiful, messy, transformative magic of revision. Today we're talking about revising with purpose, sculpting your story into shape. I know, revision can sound like cleaning out the garage. It's true, but stick with me here. Revision is where your story becomes art. It's where the truth becomes structure. It's not just polishing a few typos or replacing commas, although it is those things. It's also choosing what story you're really telling and making sure that every scene and every paragraph and every word is in service of that story. Whether you're crafting a full memoir or just assembling memoir-style chapters, which might someday become one, but they're totally fine as themselves. This episode will help you reshape your draft into something powerful and something polished. So grab your notebook and take a deep breath. Let's dig in. Part 1. Why revision isn't just editing. Let's pause for a second and clear something up. Editing is for spelling, grammar, and flow. Revision is, like the word says, revisioning your story. You're trying to see it again with fresh eyes. When you revise, you're asking, what is the heart of my story? What is extra? What needs more life in my story? And what feels repetitive? And what feels underwhelming? It's big picture thinking. You're shaping your draft, you're sculpting it. You're carving away everything that doesn't belong there, so what does belong can shine. Hey folks, quick break from the writing stuff to tell you about my new book, The Murder of Sheriff W.W. Withers and Other Early Eugene Cases. This one dives into some truly wild stories from Oregon's past. Think murder, madness, and a prison break involving a potato gun. No, really, a potato carved into the shape of a pistol. From logging disasters to the county's last hanging, it's all true, all local, and all as gripping as your favorite episode. Grab your copy today at arcadiapublishing.com or wherever books are sold. Links in the show notes. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. Exercise 1. Cut 10%. Or the art of letting go. Take one chapter or passage from your draft. We're looking right here, preferably for one that's a few pages long, but it could be a few paragraphs long if you're working on a chapter. Your task is to cut 10% of the words. You do not want to lose the meaning. You do not want to flatten your voice or not say what you want to say. It sounds like a lot, but it's not that bad once you practice. So some tips for this are watching for that repetition. Did you just say something twice, but in different ways? That one can be used for a purpose, but oftentimes I find myself when I do that, it's just because you really liked what something said. And so it's kind of like you're saying, yeah, exactly. But you need to trust your reader and trust them to understand what you're saying because you're saying it the right way. Another thing is to trim excess qualifiers. This one is hard for me in speech, and it's hard for a lot of people in modern speech. Qualifiers are words like just, or really, or very, sort of, that kind of thing. Also, that kind of thing. You just need to say exactly what you mean. And another good tip is combining sentences when it's possible. When you can make your prose tight, you make your prose stronger. The reason why this all works is because when you cut things, it forces you to be more clear. And when you're clear, it reveals the things that matter, the things you want to talk about. And it gives your writing breath. It makes it more alive. There's a good quote from the book Self-Editing for Fiction Writers that says, quote, "If something isn't adding, it's subtracting. Readers don't want extra. They want essential." Exercise 2, the adverb purge. This is kind of similar. It's deceptively simple, but extremely effective. Take this same draft scene or a different one, and I want you to take a highlighter or, your highlighting tab on your computer and highlight every single adverb. Those ly words, like quickly, softly, angrily. And then ask yourself, can I replace this weak verb and adverb combo with a stronger verb? An example might be, he walked quickly. But if you change that to he rushed, or he darted, or he scuttled, that is so much more descriptive. If you said something like, she said softly, and then changed it to she whispered or she breathed, that makes so much more vivid imagery for your reader. And this matters because the strong verbs like that do the emotional heavy lifting for you. They punch, they show rather than tell. Here's a bonus resource for you. You can take this same amount of writing and run your chapter through a website called ProWritingAid and let it show you the adverbs and readability issues. It's like having somebody who's a picky editor sitting right on your shoulder, but in a helpful way. And I always find advice easier to take from computers. Exercise 3, paragraph swap, playing with structure. Now let's have a little fun with your piece. Take a paragraph from the beginning of this chapter and swap it with one from the end. Now ask, how does this change the tone? How does it shift things around? Does the new beginning raise more curiosity in you, and thus your reader? Does the new ending land harder? Even if it doesn't work, this exercise teaches you how placement affects impact, and sometimes you find gold you didn't know that you had. A really good way to think about this is imagine the books or movies that you can remember that start in the middle of the action. It's so much more impactful if you start with being chased rather than starting when you brush your teeth in the morning and how you put on clothes. That just makes so much more fun for everyone. We just assume that you brush your teeth, hopefully. But when you're being chased, there's so many things we can find out about your character. And, not only just why, but how you're doing it is very revealing. So your placement can oftentimes tell you things you just didn't really quite imagine were there, and it can spark new ideas for you too. So you don't have to do it permanently. And that's another great thing about computers is that you can just, switch it around, make a copy. But you seriously might find gold that you didn't know was there. Chapter structure check-in. For many of you who are writing memoir-style chapters, I want you to think of these chapters as a mini arc. It's a self-contained story that has a beginning, middle, and end. We talk about that all the time. But it also has an arc that fits inside the larger mosaic of your full story. Here's a quick checklist to revise your chapter structure. Each chapter should start with tension or curiosity. It should have a clear shift emotionally or narratively. And it should end with resonance or forward motion. Whether or not it is a chapter that continues anything, it needs to make you think about what would happen next. So, as a tool for this, you can write a one-line summary of each chapter. You can write a one-line summary of each paragraph. And then ask yourself, do these build on one another? Especially if you're doing a chapter, do one sentence for if it's a 2,500 word chapter, each couple of paragraphs at least, you could be able to summarize what happens in that. And then ask if they build on each other. Ask yourself if you repeat themes without deepening them. And where does the momentum dip? So those are places that you could strengthen it by adding more tension, and you can add more tension by adding a lot more consequence or implied consequence. So as another additional tip, you could tape each one of these summaries to a wall or make a separate document and step back and look at it. Does it make sense? Does each one build on each other? And does your story end with resonance or forward motion? All right, we're going to do a guided grounding meditation for this, clearing space for clarity. Before you head into a deep revision, try this 3-minute practice to reset your nervous system and shift into a creative reflection mode. First, I'd like you to sit comfortably and place your hands on your lap. You don't have to close your eyes, but you can. Inhale slowly for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 6. Picture your story in your mind's eye like a block of marble. Say out loud or in your mind, I'm not starting over, I'm shaping what's already here. I release what no longer serves the story. I trust the heart of my work. I'm not starting over. I'm shaping what's already here. I release what no longer serves my story. I trust the heart of my work. Inhale slowly again for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now return to the page. Hopefully it makes you more calm, more clear, and ready to sculpt. It's a great set of imagery. I mean, we're not all Michelangelo, but still, we can try. Final thoughts today. I know that revision feels like tearing down something you just built. One of the funny things they say with writing is they call it killing your babies, killing your darlings. But I want you to think of it differently. You're not wrecking your story, you're unearthing it. You're peeling back each layer of the marble until what's left is the most honest and the most urgent and the most yours. And here's a truth that I always want to tell you, that anyone can be a writer. Yes, you. You already are a storyteller. You're doing the work. All you're doing now is shaping your truth into a gift. So take your time. Be gentle with yourself. Be brave. The heart of your story is waiting for you. Our recommended resources this week is the book Self-Editing for Fiction Writers by Renni Browne and Dave King, especially the chapters on showing versus telling. There's a chapter on interior monologue that's good, and a chapter on pacing, although we talked about that a little bit last week. And the website I mentioned, ProWritingAid. It's really smart. It helps you learn to be more intuitive with your writing, and it's perfect for helping you learn to tighten your prose. Next week, we'll talk about sharing your story. Until then, keep writing. Your voice matters. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Sometimes we have to start over. Sometimes we have to fight back. Sometimes it's all too much. Lost inside the black. Our stories are brilliant. We are resilient. Our stories are brilliant. We are resilient. Sometimes we need to lift the voices of those who've overcome and expose the ones that made the choices